Voting Theory Class 2 Video 1. In this video we're going to go over some basic definitions which we'll need for the remainder of this course. So in order to properly study voting theory, in order to properly analyze different voting systems and their fairnesses and tactical weaknesses, we need to first develop a formal language which we can use to concretely talk about these things. So that's what we're going to focus on in this class. Okay? So there's going to be lots of definitions in this class. Let's begin with the first definition. So we call the members of the electorate the voters, or sometimes the individuals. I'm going to try and use the word voters, okay? And we denote the set of all voters by this symbol right here, which is like a uppercase script V. So this denotes all of the voters. This one's pretty straightforward. The next part is maybe a bit more surprising. So we call the set of all possible choices the voters have the alternatives. Or sometimes, if the alternatives happen to be people, so if, for example, the election in question, you're electing like the president or something like this, and the alternatives, the options are actually people, then you can use the word candidates. But alternative is like a more general term, okay? And we denote the set of all alternatives by this symbol here, which is like a script A. Okay? And then there's a couple conventions that we use. So when we talk about the if voter, okay? So just imagine we have all the voters and I order them so I can talk about the if voter. We denote that person by lowercase v sub I. Okay? So in general, you have something like the set of all voters is equal to v1, v2, v3, ... up to vn, however many voters you have. This is just how we abstractly talk about all the voters, if we don't know their names. If you know their names, then it's more polite to use their names. But if I don't know their names, I'm just going to call them v1, v2, v3, and so on and so on. Okay? And we denote alternatives by uppercase letters. So, for example, you could have A, B, C, D, E. Okay? So if I'm talking in general an abstract election and I don't know the names of the alternatives, I'll just use uppercase letters to denote the alternatives. So for example, if we consider this example right here, which came from this idea of a highway referendum, okay? Well, the voters, you'll recall that there was 100 voters and I didn't give them names, so I'll just call them V1, V2, all the way up to V100, like that. And the alternatives were simply build an interstate highway, build a state highway, and don't build a highway at all. Okay, so that's what V and A would be in this particular example. So let's move on to a different definition. Okay, this definition says let this symbol right here, it's like a greater than sign with a subscript I, denote the strict voter preference for the voter VI. So the idea is this symbol right here, it tells you how the voter VI is feeling. Okay, so for example, if I write something like A, this thing B, what this means is that voter VI strictly prefers A to B. Okay, and remember, I'm using these uppercase letter A and B to denote the alternatives. So this means that voter VI thinks A is better than B. And it's important, the subscript is important because the different voters might have different opinions. Different voters might have different preferences. So this is a way of writing down how the voters feel. Okay. The second part of this definition simply says a voter preference is a complete ranking of all the alternatives. So the important thing to note here is the word complete. Okay, a voter preference, it needs to completely list and rank all of the alternatives available. Okay, so if we do an example, maybe you look at this example right here. So let's keep it very simple. I have two voters and they're called V1 and V2, and I have three alternatives like this. Okay, then a voter preference for voter V1 could be something like B is preferred over C is preferred over A. The exact order isn't important because it's just an example, but this is the type of thing which is a voter preference. It's a complete listing of all the alternatives in a strict ranking. A voter preference for V2 could be something like C is preferred over B is preferred over A. Something like that. Okay, and notice the subscripts need to match, yeah, because I'm talking about the voter V2, so I use this voter preference relation with the to subscript. One last thing I want to say is we can summarize this information into a table. So I can draw a table where I have the voter, like this. So I have two voters. I have V1 and V2, and then down here I have preferences. Voter V1 prefers B, then C, then A. Voter V2 prefers C, then B, then A. Okay, so this table right here is just a way of condensing this information right here. It's the exact same amount of information, as long as you know how to read it. As long as you know that, like, as you go down the table, you decrease preference. So the top is always the most preferred. Okay, so that's the end of this example, and that's the end of this video.